Standing by for the afternoon session at the Tiagraj Sports Complex in Delhi. Commonwealth Games netball action coming to you with Jenny Woods, your commentator, and expert comments from former England captain Kendra Slavinsky. The 12 teams here in Delhi split into 2 teams of 6 to make up Group A and B. The first game this afternoon coming to you from Group A. Australia is at the top of Group A and is about to take on the sometimes surprising team from Malawi. Australia unbeaten so far, 2 easy wins first up over Samoa and India, and then dispensing with Jamaica 60-46 yesterday in their toughest encounter so far. Malawi, on the other hand, lost to Jamaica 71-48, but recorded a big win over India. So the lineup this afternoon, the Malawi-Australia game, to be followed by the game between England and the Cook Islands. In the game we saw a little earlier today, we saw New Zealand rest some of its #1 lineup in their outing against South Africa, and we may see Australian coach Norma Plummer do the same here. No disrespect to the Malawi team intended, but more a case of survival in a 10-day competition. Malawi, known as the African Queens, and they're a team often inspired by the tireless Mary Wire, who at 38 is one of the most senior players in this Commonwealth Games competition. She is in fact the oldest player here. She's 1 month older than New Zealand's Irene van Dijk, and the captain of the side, Peace Kalua, just a couple of years younger. There is the position as we find it with Group A. Australia and Jamaica at the top. That may well change after this game. Trinidad and Tobago nestled in the middle. Samoa and India yet to record wins in this competition at Delhi. It's a cleverly painted crowd. I think you can gather from that that they are supporting Malawi. They've managed to get the Malawi flag on their face. And from the colours, yes, and they've certainly come well armed with a very strong support base and a lot of face paint, you'd have to say. So part of this very colourful crowd here at the Tiagraj Sports Complex. Umpires just readying themselves, popping things away in their bags and what have you. Annie Klopper's on the right from South Africa, herself a former player for South Africa. And Jonathan Breton on the left from New Zealand, with Dalton Hines, the reserve umpire for this afternoon's game between Australia and Malawi. Australia, with that win yesterday over Jamaica, almost certainly securing themselves the position at the top of their group, meaning that when it comes to the all-important semi-final crossover, barring some kind of incredible upset, they will play England to advance to the final. So Kendra Slavinsky, we see the teams going through their final warm-up. Australia is the world champion. This is going to be a very tough game for Malawi.
I think so, and I think Australia will dominate with their speed and their precision, and I think whatever combination that Norma Plummer, the coach, puts out, she will expect a really telling result.
They've looked fairly formidable already here in Delhi, the Australians. We had expected perhaps that they might have got a bigger test from Jamaica yesterday, but it didn't happen.
No, the first quarter and a little bit were quite goal for goal, but then Australia just changed gear, as only Australia can. And what we'll find from this tournament is that teams need to stay with Australia when they have that gear change.
So just the Australian shooters left on court, but the whole Malawi team just going through a final little bit of preparation. We've seen some very interesting warm-up routines so far here in Delhi. I think probably the competition leaders at the moment for the best warm-up are without question Barbados. The music gets cranked up, they don't worry about any balls, and they just dance. So not too far away from the start here in this Pool A clash. Malawi, Jamaica, it wouldn't be too often that these sides meet, Kendra.
No, obviously Australia has immense resource for their netball. They've got one of the best leagues in the world with the Australian-New Zealand Trans Am. Malawi, African country, but the government in Malawi support women's sport, which is really great.
And talk about support, no doubt about that man's support. Malawi all over his face. And acknowledging the support of the other supporters. And there is a bunch of Aussie supporters. They haven't got as far as painting their flag on their face. But they are draped in the flag. That little fellow, he's got a different kind of flag. But certainly we've had some very happy crowds here at the Tiagra's complex, getting a great taste of top-level netball. Here's the lineup for Malawi, and it would appear on first looking to be a very strong one. In fact, probably Edith Kaliati's strongest lineup. Look for the young goal shooter, Mwai Kumwenda. She has been in fine touch. Norma Plummer, as we'd suspected she might, resting some of her top-line players, but you'd never call this a weak Australian side. Laura Geitz gets the start on run at goalkeeper. Now she'll be backed up by Rebecca Bully today at goal defence. So many of the starting lineup there from Australia on the bench today. And there is the wing defence for Malawi. Grace Mwafuliwa, she has had a very impressive start in this tournament. She is second on the list of intercepts. She's picked up 10 in just 2 games, and that's outstanding. While Mwafuliwa, an inexperienced player, look at Catherine Cox, 34 years of age, one of the greats of Australian netball, and she gets the start against Malawi. The players in position. The umpires come to the sideline, not far away from game on between Australia and Malawi. Pool A competition from the netball at the Commonwealth Games. And something of a false start to this game between Australia and Malawi. In fact, it's a breaking call against Australia. So that's not a world champion style start.
No, she looked terribly apologetic, did Susan Pratley.
So it's left to Mary Wyatt to have the first say in this game as Malawi score off a turnover from Australia.
Very acrobatic rebound by Kumwenya.
Susan Pratley, I think, a bit amused by the defence of Vinkumbo. Malinga bouncing it into Kumwenda. Ooh, just too relaxed from Mary Wyatt. Should have shot that. Australia quickly into their work, although held up in the mid-court. No shooting problems at that end. Susan Prattley.
And Prattley doing a really good job getting in behind the defence of Muntu Kweli. She's got to be careful that she doesn't allow Prattley to dictate early in the game.
And Cooley looking for a way through, using Wire. And Kumwenda will get the penalty. No, Mary Wire will take it. Edith Kaliati there, the coach of Malawi. Nurse just waiting for Prattley to fire into the pocket.
It was a lovely rotation in the Australian circle, opened by Cox, finished off by Cox.
Kalua looking down court, finding Wire. Kumwenda not wanting to shoot it from there. She's ended up virtually back in the same spot. That doesn't seem to worry her.
And Malawi really picking holes in that Australian defence between Bully and Geitz with a long ball.
So these two sides trading goals with centre pass. Geitz contacting on the edge of the circle, but no, it's been turned.
It's an offside call, Jenny.
So that's a costly mistake for Malawi. They would have been trying to at least stay with Australia in the early stages of this game.
That's great cross-court work by Australia, using the whole width of the court to open up their attack. Wide rotational play between Cox and Prattley.
Breaking call, this time against Malawi. Too much on that from Renee Hallinan. Nurse is quick, but not that quick. Malawi showing they're not afraid to throw this ball around. Oh. Wyatt, Mary Wyatt steaming away into that circle. Stepping called against Prattley. Malawi, can they get out of this defensive area? Low ball to Wyatt. And Takuli helping out.
And they're not afraid to switch the play, Malawi, from one side of the court to the other. putting it through the centre channel and then moving it swiftly out wide again.
There they go. We haven't seen a dance like that before. Good to see. They're a team that entertains on the court and have spectators who entertain off it. The complete package. Yes, Kumwenda trying to gain about another metre there. Sent back by Bredin. So good stuff, Malawi. They've drawn level. And Australia will want to steady things down. Sylvia Malinga at centre. And again, Malawi forced the turnover. Rushed shot from Mwai Kumwenda. She didn't really even have to get off the ground for that, Grace Mwafu-Iwa. Australia this time, steadying things.
It's a neat dodge by Cox, away from the post. But just gives her enough room to take the pass from Pratley.
Now, umpire Bredin has overruled the call of umpire Kloppers, saying it's my call first.
Great work by Green.
Cox in fine touch. Oh, Vinkumbu just unable to regather the ball, the goalkeeper for Malawi. Came a long way out. Bully. Sweet work between Pratley and Cox. They play together at domestic level in Sydney. Certainly a tried and true combination. Mafuiwa to Cooley. Kalua, the captain, she's been called for stepping. And always reminded Kendra, whenever you see Malawi putting in so many passes, they are famous for a 67 pass passage of play against New Zealand a few years ago. And the call's gone against Sylvia Malinga. The Australian bench watching. Captain Sherelle McMahon, she always has something to say. Kalua. Nice delay by the wing attack.
But it was such an incredibly quick roll by Kumwenda to get herself closer to the post.
Not a miss for Australia so far. Nkumbu on Cox.
And what can Kwemya do with a roll? Kath Cox can equal it.
Mary Wyatt has had to pull in some tough balls this. Oh, and then she fires off a really tough ball. Rebecca Bully looking down court, goes back to Geitz. Lauren Nurse hoisting one into the pocket for Green.
Contact on defense. Next to it. Yep.
Susan Prattley just about off balance when she shot that.
Good use of the knees by Cox.
Goalkeeper holding. Penalty ball. Just we are. Yep.
The Australian shooters just getting a little
Practice.
pushes from the Malawians. There she is catching it with a, I'm not sure what textbook that one comes out of.
Wire under tremendous pressure, the Malawi attack, and they've lost it.
And it's good advantage for Australia.
Advantage obstruction. Obstruction on defense.
Norma Plummer, the very astute Australian coach, won't be so happy with that delivery. Great defence here, Australia.
Just forcing that pass in there and playing into Australian hands, and they've got the fast break that's interrupted by Malawi. Too fast even for Hallinan.
And again, it's that woman at wing defence for Malawi, Grace Mawalafira. She's a slight player, but she manages to get her hands to everything. Poor pass, Mary Wire. Looked as though it might have almost just fallen out of her hands.
Green not happy with herself on that one. Not sure whether it's frustration with herself or whether she disagrees with Kloppers. But they are quick, these Australians, once they start travelling across the ground.
Mwenda out of the circle. Lost her balance, thought she'd got that pass away in time, but deemed not to have by the umpire.
Goalkeeper.
And Susan Prattley scores at the other end as we move into the final minute of this first quarter. Pretty healthy lead for Australia, 18-10. The first miss for Australia, and it's taken virtually 15 minutes to come.
And Malawi at the moment pinned in their own half. Some very good man-to-man defence by Australia, but it's the long ball that clears it. Great recovery by Geitz.
And Wire almost having to wait for the cavalry to arrive.
They're not afraid to put it back, to re-engage their attack.
But they've lost it, Malawi.
Just some poor decisions by Wire in that attacking end.
And if they hoist it in quickly, they might have time, but they don't, as the whistle signals the end of the first quarter. It's Australia leading Malawi 18-10. And Kendra, perhaps pretty much as expected, a margin of 8 for Australia after the first 15 minutes.
Yes, strong rotational play by Cox and Prattley is really opening up their circle. And defensively, you've got the whole Australian team working as a unit to try and turn over ball.
Yep, putting the attack end of Malawi under a lot of pressure and forcing a lot of bad passes. Mary Wire at goal attack for Malawi, who usually such a sure and certain pair of hands, putting in a lot of not so good passes that I'm sure she'll be disappointed with this afternoon. Australia 18, Malawi 10. Australia ready to get back into the thick of it as they come back onto the court. Malawi still on the bench. I'm sure they'll be out in good time. Interesting to see on the Australian bench at quarter time, Sue Kenny, the assistant coach, dealing with the attack end of the Australian team, while Norma Plummer busied herself with the defenders. It will be Malawi ball. Second quarter underway, Malawi versus Australia. Wire back to Malinga. Gosh, a very high need shooting technique from Kumwenda. I think she thought she was going to lose her balance. Didn't matter, the shot was good. And good pressure on the pass, Malawi. Applause from their captain, Peace Kalua. Lauren Nurse throwing in for Australia. That's the first miss of the game for Pratley. And the rebound out of court, so Malawi with a turnover. Why Kumwenda? She's been impressive at goal shoot, this young player, just 21. Oh, through the hands of Grace Mwafaliwa. Here's Kumwenda. The chant goes up for Malawi. And perhaps the chant made a difference. Uncharacteristic, a loose ball from Australia.
Yes, Nurse just pushing that too far for Cox. Again, Malawi bring it away, finding gaps and spaces through the midcourt.
Bully asked to stand back out of the circle.
Great lean by Geitz, using that such long reach and such a height difference between her and Wire. Good control, not touching the ball, keeping her distance.
Kalua. Oh, it might have been the right idea, but just too much on it, and perhaps Kumwenda not in the right place. Just gives another chance to the Australians to build the score.
And I think what makes Australia's stars so distinctive in that shooting circle, Jenny, is the fact that, you know, they can quite easily, within the space of seconds, have a different interchange of responsibility between the goal shooter and the goal attacker who's leading in there. And on that situation, they just didn't communicate who was the lead.
That's right. Cox and Pratley falling all over each other. And it's the turn of Malawi to make them pay, with the centre pass to come. There in the background, the Malawi supporters. Peace Kalua saying, yes, give me the ball. Oh, how did Kumwenda get between those two players? Rebecca Bully very nearly picked that up.
But it was neat volley play, wasn't it?
It was. So Australia won't be happy with that number of turnovers. Yes, there are fewer than those by Malawi, but it's still too many for a side of this class. A loose shot from Kumwenda. Looked to rush it. There was really no need to.
It's good support play by Bully, not only through the mid-court, but staying on the line. And good understanding restored between Pratley and Cox on that pop.
So simple when it's done well. Grace Maful-Iwa. The captain, Kalua. The margin restored to 10 in favour of Australia. Just about halfway through the second quarter. Oh, if only she'd been able to hang on to it. She's called for stepping. Supporters put their hands to the heavens.
But there are certainly not many teams that would put the ball in for mid-court over the height of Geitz. You've got to applaud them for the sheer audacity of it.
That's how it's done. Frustration on the face of Kimberly Green. Called for that. Oh, Kumwenda does well to collect her own rebound. Mtakuli just giving Pratley a little bit of a shunt as she goes through. Pratley finishes nicely.
On occasions where Malawi play the short game, they really do close their space down. They're far better when they're opening their spaces and looking for the longer ball.
Wire trying to get ever closer to the post.
And Norse looking for that, ooh, that long ball again. It came back an awful long way, Australia. Cox just reopened the court for it to come forward again.
That's almost a page from the Malawi textbook.
I think it's called rebuilding the play. And good work by Green, trawling back in defence. And that backwards and up movement is quite difficult as a defender, but it's full stretch and it's beautiful.
So Australia piling on the points, 31-17. A margin of 14. It was 8 at quarter time.
And there's the Australians lined up across the court, trying to close the Malawi attack down. They're rebuilding right from their own defensive line. I hope they're not going to go scoring that post.
Back they go, Malawi. Forward now. Kumwinda, look how close she is to the transverse line. Kalua now. They've made the goal circle. Oh, but they've lost it. A contact called against Mary Wire.
And that's where sometimes players make decisions to stand still. Instead of Wire just opening up into the space, she had plenty of room just to move off and onto the ball.
So all that work for nothing for Malawi. And in fact, it's Australia that scores. Let me see. Second miss of the day for Kath Cox. And the second for Susan Prattley, just taken a little knock to the face.
I wasn't
this time.
Quite sure why she stepped in. Why was the need to step into the defence?
3 minutes until the half-time break. Australia leading Malawi 33-17.
Sweet little roll by Wire. There's the long ball from Hallinan. She likes that. It's part of her trademark, part of her repertoire.
Cox hits the post.
Bully went arm first and just forgot to move her feet on that one. It's not surprising she contacted. Great work by Bully, scurrying along the ground to get that, only to find Green giving it away with a footwork.
And look at that close encounter between Geitz and Kumwinda. Fair amount of use of the elbow. I think it's going both ways. Oh, overcooked by Cox. Far too much on that ball. Into Cooley on the run. Watch those elbows. Short from Wire. She's going to get the throw in though.
Good little interchange of underarm little passes for Malawi. Very difficult to defend.
No way through those arms from Mary Wire. That was tremendous defence from Geitz.
And even on the step back, she still couldn't offload it. Good speed by Australia. Precision in the pass.
So no time for that second pass to be taken. So it will be Malawi with the centre pass at the beginning of the second half. Half time, it's Australia leading Malawi 35-19. So just 9 goals for Malawi in that quarter. Kendra, they're starting to get just a little bit stifled, a little bit frustrated by Australia.
Yes, they haven't got the same creativity or options in their movements and their attack that Australia have. And Australia are just putting that defensive band across that midcourt, and they are really struggling. They go back to go forward, and the longer it takes them, the more chance there is to make an error.
So fairly two even quarters for Australia. 18 goals in the first quarter, 17 goals in the second, and pretty even really for Malawi too. 10 in the first and then 9 in the second, but they'll want a better showing in the second half. Paid them to hold that up. Great to see the locals getting in behind the netball. There is the Malawi bench. They trail Australia by a significant number. And the Australians we saw in the break, Coach Norma Plummer spending a lot of time talking to Natalie von Berto, just running onto the court in the centre position. So just the one change for Australia. In fact, 2 changes for Australia. Monia Gerard on goal defence. Malinga away for Malawi at the start of the second quarter. 35-19, Australia lead. Malawi get the throw in after that short shot from Mary Wire. Hasn't had her best shooting game today. Here's Gerard at wing defence for Australia. Von Berto finds Nurse quickly to Cox. A bouncing shot, but it falls nicely for Pratley. Into Cooley.
Structure wing defence outside. Yes.
So a torrid time for Malawi as they try to get this ball into the circle. Kumwenda wants it a bit closer.
She's on the ball. Yes.
Nurse to Von Berto. Cox strongly out of the circle. She needs to get back in. She does, although she's really not needed. Susan Pratley does it on her own.
Pratley and Norse at the Malawi centre pass keep jumping the line, which is a little bit of an advantage for them.
Kumwenda called for the contact. Gerard finding Von Berto. Look at the way she attacks down through the court, Gerard. Good work, Mwafaliwa. There is a new player for Malawi, the wing attack. Beatrice Mpinjira replacing her captain, Peace Kalua.
Offside. Free pass Australia. Offside. Offside. Yes.
Berto, she looked down, but there was nothing on.
Defense, penalty bars inside. Defending half court, penalty bars and shot. Got this goalkeeper that side, please. Yep. Just right there.
And despite the close attention of 3 players, Nurse got out so easily for that centre pass. And that pass through the middle of those defenders was superb.
Malinga finding Kumwenda, who's come well out of the circle. Mpinga trying to find a way through. Look at the arms of Gerard on that pass, deemed too close.
Goalkeeper.
I'm never quite sure how they get it over the height of Geist, but they do.
Terrific number of deflections for Australia, but here's one for Malawi. And down the court they race. Mpinga called for footwork, I should say. Bully waits for Nurse to come free.
That's great driving by Susan Prattley. She's under close scrutiny of Vinkombo, but she manages just to hold her space to dominate the circle.
Malinga using Mtakuli at the back. She had a steady game, Caroline Mtakuli, at goal defence for Malawi. Geit's called over the arm of Kumwenda. And Gerard now called, and that works really in Australia's favour because they've now got both their defenders back in the circle. Outside arm, Laura Geitz.
And the speed of the transfer from defence to attack.
Well read and well carried out. And Berto at stretch.
McMahon liked it. Well done, Coxie.
Malinga to wire. They just find it so hard to penetrate this defence of the Australians. Look at the setup by Susan Prattley. Good to see the attack players defending throughout the court, and they've forced the Malawians into that mistake.
Great advantage by the umpires, which allowed that free flow for Prattley to finish off.
Good rugby pass by Moria Gerard. Her brother was a fairly handy rugby player. Played for Australia. There's good work in the Malawi defensive circle. It just doesn't fall for them. Rather, the ball falls for Catherine Cox through the hoop. 44-22, halfway through this third quarter. Mpinga going backwards. Now, Mpinga on the other side of the court. Again, the lean of Geitz presenting all sorts of problems for Mary Wire. Problems at the other end. Oh, no, indeed. It is a penalty for Australia, and it's advanced because Malawi batted that ball away. Annie Klopp is taking no nonsense. It's only a free pass, not a penalty. Generous 3 seconds, one might have thought. And now, the goalkeeper for Malawi sinks slowly to the ground. She's calling time. Her knee is heavily bandaged, but I think it might be... Yes, it is the knee that's the worry. Caroline Mtakuli. She has had a nice game, as she has all week, Caroline Mtakuli. At the beginning of the day's play, she was 3rd on the intercept list, and that's out of all teams. And when you think that Malawi at that point had only played 2 games, she had pulled in 8 intercepts, and that's impressive. So she has gone to the bench, Caroline Mtakuli.
Goalkeeper out of play. Yep.
Cox pulls a face. And another break. So I think what's happened is Grace Amwaful-Iwa has moved to goal defence.
Pratley just holding her side, had a slight bump from her goal defence.
And I guess this is the thing, Kendra, in these Commonwealth Games. The competition is also part of an endurance test, really, isn't it? Because these games played out over 10 days.
It certainly is, and it's also how coaches use their benches to put their to try and sort out who are their key 7 for big matches, but also making sure that the bench gets run time.
Those shots just not falling for Mary Wire today. Pratley back to Gerard. And back to Pratley, who finishes beautifully.
There's just too many options available for Australia, whichever route where they take, straight line balls, cross court.
That's a good take for the goalkeeper for Malawi. Not enough on that pass.
And that was a contact call, and Cox will just finish this off. It started with an obstruction penalty against Gerard, who then chased halfway down court, made the intercept, and Australia benefit.
Kamwenda finding Mpinganjira on the circle edge. That one's good for Mary Wire. Nurse lofts it high to Susan Pratley. So simple, so efficient.
She's still holding her side. She's not feeling comfortable, is Pratley.
Yes, there were lots of smiles and what have you going on for Susan Pratley earlier in the game. Those have gone, so she might be in a little bit of pain as Geitz takes a beauty and also cops Mary Wire in the hip. Look at this.
It's great recovery by Geist. But it's that mixture of the long ball and short ball game that's proving really effective for Australia.
That's it.
Catherine Cox, always such a steadying influence under any goal.
Contact goal shooter.
Kumwenda called for backing into Laura Geitz. So Geitz certainly getting the better of this competition within a competition.
And that straight line ball was superb by the Australian team. And the transition from defence to attack.
They've really put the afterburners on in this third quarter, Australia. The margin 31 now. Pratley hits the deck.
And Australia are being extremely calm.
You're holding. Goal third. Yes. Find your side, centre.
Wire doing her work outside the circle when she needs to get in. That was a lucky break.
It's just arms before distance for Laura Geitz on that occasion. Nurse fires it to Cox.
And Cox is finding an awful lot of room around that baseline, which creates all kinds of opportunities, whether it comes through the middle or whether she goes out wide.
Just a total misunderstanding there for Malawi on the centre pass. It goes into no man's land. Turnover late in the third quarter for Australia. 56-24. One more lot of 15 minutes to come. Time for more from the Australians. Cox wanting to go around the baseline. She had to come back round the long way. So Malawi just holding the Australians up here. Fabulous pass, Catherine Cox. A terrific Aussie style from the hip, one-handed pass. And again, Geitz beating Kumwenda to the ball. There's the whistle. Three-quarter time is upon us. It's Australia over Malawi, 58-24. A particularly good quarter for Australia, Kendra.
Yes, they were really piling on the pressure in that quarter. There was no way that Malawi could get any form of continuity, any flow in their attack, and there's just no momentum with Malawi. It's all Australia.
And a telling look at that quarter where Australia scored 23 goals as opposed to just 5 for Malawi, and that's the worrying sign for Malawi. They're going backwards. They scored 10 in the first, 9 in the second, and now just 5. And I just wonder if the shooting combination of Kumwenda and Wire might need just a little bit of a tweak. Enjoying themselves as the Australians go into their huddle. And Malawi at the other end of your picture also doing the same as we get ready for this final quarter in this Pool A game between Australia and Malawi. Australia building up a big lead in that third quarter, 58-24, a difference of 34 goals. And it will be Australia with the centre pass. Natalie von Berto picking up the ball. Fourth quarter action begins. Nurse quickly down to Pratley.
Bad destruction, bad offside. Bad offside.
And Cox finishing it off. Mafaliwa at goal defence now for Malawi. Melinda just stays in court. Turnover. I think Malinga just wanting it explained to her why the turnover. It's a contact. Little underhand passes from Nurse.
Goalkeeper.
60 goals, Australia over Malawi. Rebecca Bully at goal defence today for Australia, helping bring that ball through. Nice braids for Catherine Cox today.
Great balance by Kamwendi, coming in at speed there and just stopping herself from falling out of court.
And she's had a torrid game today, Kumwenda. She's come in for a lot of tension from Laura Geitz. Nurse now taking a tumble.
Goalkeeper. Contact. It's there. Keep it aside.
Holding centre, middle to far centre third. Yes. Yeah. Pushing goalkeeper. Better back next to the goalkeeper. Closer.
Big step, Kumwenda. Still short, though, on the shot. Nothing going right for Malawi at the moment. Gerard fires it across to Von Berto.
Back instruction when the bids. Back instruction goalkeeper. Instruction out for 4.
It's a wonderful step around by Cox to offload it to an ingoing Prattley. But Malawi in a little bit of disarray in this quarter. Jenny, they've made quite a number of changes.
Yes, so many. It's hard to keep up with. Sylvia Malinga, though, she's still there at centre for Malawi. And you can see at wing attack, the captain, Peace Kalua, is back on court. She scurries across to help out with that ball. Mafuliwa. Malinga getting a little bit of a helping hand and a shove from Natalie Von Berto. Von Berto puts up a hand, an apology. You can see Mary Wire has gone off. There is Cindy Simtoi, the new goal attack for Malawi. Slots the goal.
Pushing, yes. Goal flag, goal flag, goal flag. 11, 3 pass.
Oh, and they've lost it, Malawi. Not quite sure what the call was.
And the fast break of Australia is just so precise. The timing of each person's move, they know exactly where they need to be on that transition.
Now a chance for Australia to add yet another.
Offside when the bids. 3 pass. Australia.
Into Cooley, doing a lot of work on the edge of that circle. Kalua. Big pass, finding Malinga. And, oh, that was nice work. It was a terrible tangle. They're both fine. They leap up quickly. Three sets of arms tangling in the air.
That's an Aussie sandwich, I feel.
Yes, inside.
And that's a Kath Cox special. Calmly shooting the goal, bringing the total for Australia to 66. Simtoe just trying to get a little bit closer, but she's, oh, tunnel ball. Simtoe's been called for the contact on Geitz, I guess, in the scurry for that ball. Catherine Cox just calmly putting a hand on the floor to steady her, getting a little sideways glance from her coach. Now, Peace Kalua, the captain for Malawi, has gone to the side. She had a break in the third quarter. She's come back on in the fourth. And the ice being applied to Peace Kalua's right knee. Some bit of that magic spray as well. So 67-27, 9 minutes remaining in this final quarter. And Australia building up a very big lead, and they've accelerated throughout the game. And look at the score that Australia rattled up in that third quarter. 23 against 5, that's telling.
And that is the impact of the substitutions that Plummer made in terms of Von Berto, and more importantly, the role of Gerard in there as well. Australia just managed their substitutions really, really well.
9 minutes left in the game, 67-27. Australia over Malawi. Kalua through the arms of Monia Gerard, and now look at the spread of Laura Geitz. Simtoe coming to help. Malinga trying to find someone. There's one for Malawi, Cindy Simtoe. She heard the call.
That's a better feed that it goes to body, so Geitz can't touch it, but brilliance on the 3-foot mark. Just can't find a way over the extension of her.
That's right, Geitz has absolutely shut Komwendi down. Good pick-up, though, at the other end for Vin Combo.
Malawi got the goal kick.
Australia thinking the ball was theirs. They're told no, it's Malawi throwing. Mwafuliwa gets Malawi away. Oh, and it's a tussle. That's a great shot. Lauren Nurse loses that one. You don't often see that left to go on for so long.
No, somebody either pulls it out the arm, or you hear the call of the umpire, or it stops, and dare I say they give a toss-up. But look at that. That's my ball. No, it's mine.
It's fantastic.
Bad instruction, bad offside. Bad instruction, theatre.
And that's great redistribution by Australia, moving from one side of the court to the other with ease.
Simtoe helping.
And again, the hold up along that third line, looking for options. Both Bully and Gerard have got their players pinned.
And Gerard coming in for a lot of attention from Andy Kloppers, but the penalty now goes against Malawi. Another contact against Kumwenda. Now it's been Kumbu called at the other end. Rapid fire distribution by the Australians. Oh, a rare miss for Susan Prattley. Simtoe. Joanna Kashalika at wing defence now for Malawi. Again, Malinga.
Contacting defender of the hand, yes. Obstructing goal defender, must move away, penalty pass shot. Yes.
Rebecca Bully and Cindy Simptaway on the lineup. The ball goes back. Peace Kalua just waiting for her goal attack to enter the circle. Wants it on her other leg. And look at the encouragement offered by Peace Kalua, but it comes to nothing for Malawi. Nurse on the edge of the circle. The bench just having a little chat between themselves.
Well, they know that this game was over, literally working into that second half of the second quarter, where Australia got that commanding lead.
Kumwende back to Kalua. That's quick hands.
Obstructing penalty pass. Contact goal defense. Next to goal defense. Yes.
The penalty count against Australia climbing in this last quarter. 56 penalties now against Australia, 46 Malawi. Oh, tricky, tricky. That's a fabulous shot between the post and the arms of Laura Geitz.
But whatever Malawi do, as soon as Australia get possession, it's less than three or four passes, and it's under the post.
Geitz almost trying to take that out with her legs. This time deemed too close. Mary Wyatt now on the bench for Malawi. Leaving it to the young ones to carry on the job. Nurse getting a good bump in the back as she delivered that ball. Simptaway. Back to Mafuliwa. Now Joanna Kashalika. Down the middle of the court come Malawi. She liked that one. Malinga able to gather that piece. Kalua not able to save herself. According to the umpire, offside, so another turnover, and Annie Klopp is not liking the back chat.
That was a really good surge of play by Malawi up till that point. But once again, the Australian machine just works itself straight into their own circle.
And straight through the hoop. So the Aussies march on, 73-34. Who will have the last say in this Pool A game? Malawi closing in. A pass and a spin from Simtoe. A big lead, but decides to leave it to Kumwende. who gets it over that big lean of Laura Geitz. It's an interesting face from Norma Plummer. And there is